Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner into a Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. This will be the last one I've got for a while as I don't have anything current aside from this here, Gear Chronicle. I am thinking though of making proxies of the new Genesis support and just testing out how Fenrir works in his own deck with Minerva, with the Graysoul, and so on and so on. But that'll be later when I'm able to get my printer working. For now though, I have these guys here. Gear Chronicle, aka Dragonic Time Lord the Clan, because let's be honest here, Chrono Jet Dragon is pretty much what drives this deck. Like, they don't really have anything good outside of Chrono Jet. It's much like how Kagro don't have very many things good outside of Overlord. I mean, Perditions were good for a bit, but then they became yet another Overlord deck when the Grey came out, so yeah. This clan really is Kagro, but from Dark Zone, and its gimmicks, much like Kagro's field removal, except instead of killing things, you spin them to the bottom of the deck, and you get guard restriction-based skills as your finishing kills. But come set 4, though, this changes when we get to Chrono Dragon next stage, and this deck ends up having a restander of its own. It's a different kind of restander, but it's still a restander. I don't know what I'm going to cut out from my extra deck for next stage. Leaning towards Ride the Clock, but I'll have to test that out as well. But anywho, let's get started on this. So my starting Vanguard is Timepiece Draco Kid. This is the grade 3 searcher for Gear Chronicle. I'm choosing this over Gunner Gear Draco Kid, as Gear Chronicle, being a stride based deck, doesn't have very many units that don't have generation break skills and do stuff, meaning the deck is very weak to A, being grade locked, or B, your opponent grade locking themselves so you can't do anything with your bunch of vanilla monsters. Timepiece helps alleviate this by being something that doesn't require gen break to use this effect. Yeah, it's not a guaranteed search like with the other guy, but he's still alive the moment that you happen to have at least 1 damage, and he can get you grade 3s before you have to stride, maybe even play out of grade lock. For that, I'm running him. Then for the main guy himself, 4 copies of Dragonic Time Lord, aka Chrono Jet Dragon, the poster boy of Vanguard G. You guys probably know what he does at this point. 2 skills. First one, GB2. When he attacks, he gains 5k and the Glory Maelstrom skill. So it's a pretty decent ability. As the game goes on, your opponent will probably have some PGs, or you saw them check a bunch of PGs on their triple drive, and you're like, my Ride in the Clock's gonna get blocked, but I don't think he has enough cards in hand to block against Chrono Jet skill. Then you go in for that. Otherwise, you'll be striding on top of this guy and using his skill to counterblast 1, spin a unit. But still, very solid unit, and that Generation 2 skill is going to be more important when we get next stage, as you'll be able to swing with a 26 monster and then superior stand this thing from your heart and then swing by himself with his skill. Then for the backup grade 3s, I am running White Wheel Dragon. Now, a lot of Gear Chronicleists will probably run one of the Legions, which is perfectly fine. Legioning lets you extend the game longer, you don't deck out, and your Legions have pretty okay skills. Nixie Number lets you, I think, counterblast 1 to get the no PG skill, whereas the other guy is a free spin on Legion. That's fine, but the problem with them is, much like with Chrono Jet Dragon and striding as a whole, it's dependent on your opponent being at 3. And again, people will sit themselves at 2 for a couple turns against this deck because you don't really have very many plays outside of striding. Fate Wheel is the exception to this, as he actually has a on-ride skill of Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, spin a grade 1 or less unit. Not as powerful as Chrono Jet's, but it still lets you get her as starters and combo piece grade 1s, such as, what's a good example here? Brunos, there we go. So cards like those that you don't want your opponent to have in play while they're trying to do stuff, this guy gets rid of. Commando Laurel as well. And his other skill is Generation Break 1. When he attacks, Counterblast 1, he becomes Silent Tom, which is okay in itself. So yeah, mainly though, he's just something I can ride when I either can't Chrono Jet or my opponent makes me go first. That way I can still punish them, because against Gear Chronicle, you want to go second because striding is super good and getting first stride is important. Then for grade 2s, 4 copies of Relic Master Dragon. It's just like this guy, he has a skill that's playable the moment you see him. He's a Dragonic Death Scythe actually, so when you ride or call him, Counterblast 2, do something. In this case, spin a grade 2 or less unit. And again, I want to have as many units that can do things outside of striding as possible. Granted, when set 4 comes out, this will change and I'll be running pretty much a strictly Generation Break deck, but that's because the cards that you get in that set are so good, i.e. Upstream Dragon. But anyway, yeah, that's what this guy's in for. He's also an SP and a very cheap one. I think it was like $2 for this guy, an SP. He looks pretty damn nice in his deck, but yeah, just 4 of those. 4 copies of Steam Fighter Amber. So this is the guy that we all refer to as other cards as clones of, as he has the skill of when he attacks the Vanguard and his booster, counterblast 1, do something, in this case, spin a card, Generation Break 1, yeah. Voltage Horn, and Twilight Arrow Dragon, and other dudes. We call them Amber clones for a reason. And lastly, just 3 copies of Twin Major Dragon, your Generation Break 1 12k attacker. Not much else you can say about him. Gear Chronicle don't really have a whole lot in the grade 2 options as a whole. I might cut him though for just the 10k vanilla, as defensively he's really nice against rush decks. Then for the grade 1s, 4 flipping PGs, 4 stride enablers, and then 4 copies of Steam Fighter Mesh May. So Mesh May's skill is Generation Break 1 once per turn. When you spin a unit, you can Soul Blast 1 to flip a damage. This deck is very counterblast heavy, so this guy's kind of really good. And getting multiples into play when you spin means you get the Soul Blast 2 on flip 2, and he's what helps alleviate the cost of running more expensive units like this guy here, as CB2's a lot. However, this guy basically turns it into CB1 Soul Blast 1, and granted, one thing I should note is you could opt to not run this and run Glimmer Breath Dragon, and while that is a thing, the problem with Glimmer Breath Dragon is he requires a Chronojet Vanguard, and there are just times where you don't have Chronojet, whereas this guy is playable whenever. But when next set comes out and we get Steam Fighter Bailiff, I'll be dropping these for Glimmer Breath because they'll be amazing. That'll make this guy even better because it then becomes Soul Blast 2, and that's it for the spinning unit. Then again, next set comes with a more free version of this guy that requires a Chronojet, but for the time being though, this guy's just there to help keep your damage face up so you can use your more expensive skills, because you usually use 2 to 3 counterblast a turn on a given, 1 for Chronojet and then 1 for your other skills. So that's why I'm running 4 of these, so I can see them immediately. And then finally 2 copies of Summit Crest Gear Wolf. He's basically a Bruno for the deck, so whenever you spin something, he gains plus 3,000. So yeah, he's actually more like a Shooky, but he just helps it so that when Chronojet Dragon is making his big push, when you're trying to use that skill, you could spin something with Amber and then make this guy a plus 10k booster, or if you get this guy behind your rear guard columns and you get an Upheaval Pegasus off, then he becomes super big. Then for the triggers, I'm running 8 crits featuring 4 Heart Thumping Workers. He gets this, when you have a Chronojet Vanguard and attacks, you can put this guy into the soul to draw a card and give that unit plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. So it helps Chronojet hit for bigger numbers when you're using that generation skill, or it can make, I don't know, a Fate Rider Dragon hit for more, because it's an extra stage of power, which is always nice. It also fades up Soul for this guy, and yeah, he also draws you a card, so it's not like you're going to neg on that. And then, yeah, the other triggers. 4 Lucky Pot Draco Kid. He's your Margot clone, so put him into the soul to give something plus 3,000 power. And then finally, 4 heals. Then for the extra deck, I am running 1 copy of Lost Age Dragon. He is your on-hit unit, so when he swings, hits, spin a card. Not much else to say. 1 copy of Upheaval Pegasus, so when you stride on with this guy and you have a Chronojet Dragon Heart, or just a Chronojet Heart, you spin all your opponent's rear guards, and then they call units from the top of their deck equal to the number of cards sent back. This can be both good and bad, in that you could spin a bunch of good units to the bottom of their deck, and then they call a bunch of good units from the top of their deck, like Aglovales, or Death Sights, or cards like that. And then they'll like get pluses, so it'll be bad there, but on the other hand, you can use this guy, spin their already established board of monsters, and then they call random things from the top of the deck that they don't need or want, like PGs, heal triggers, critical triggers that don't have on-call effects. But anyway, you get the idea though. Like, this guy is a disruption card. He's also free, so he lets you get massive unflips off of your Mesh Maze, as you get to potentially spin 5 things, so you get at least a unflip of 2. and it makes your gear wolves get stupid big. 2 copies of Interdimensional Dragon, Fate Rider Dragon. This is one of your better first rides, as his effect is once per turn, you can target one of your rear guards, put it at the bottom of your deck, and then you can superior call a unit with a grade higher than that unit from your deck, and then you shuffle. So it's toolboxing from the extra deck, which is always nice, and it allows you to turn, say, oh, I don't know, a heal trigger that you drew and don't want to see into a grade 1. It turns a grade 1 into a grade 2, and it can also turn a grade 2 into a grade 3, but you don't want to do that. And yeah, also after this effect resolves, you can choose units you control equal to the number of face-up units in your G-zone, and they get 3,000 power at the end of the turn, which is kind of okay too, but more or less though, he's just going to be used to pull things out of the deck to set up for your bigger turns, such as when you want to go into Ragnarok Dragon here, who has the ability of counterblast 1, flip a copy of himself face up, and if you have 2 or more units face up in your G-zone, X things happen. In this case, he becomes Silent Tom, so no grade 0s from hand and extra critical. So he is your mid-game finisher unit, although he's obviously not as strong as other units. Like glory skills are better than this, restanding skills are better than this, thus I think it's actually quite feasible to cut this guy out of the deck entirely and run 4 copies of Chrono Dragon Next Stage, who will apply just as much pressure as Ragnarok, if not better, because restanding is just stronger and your second attack is going to be with a glory skill, so they'll have to use a whole bunch of zeros in their hand, but if you set it up properly, you're going to be swinging for 26,000, so they'll need at least 21, 31, 41, no, yeah, 21, 31, 41. They'll need 30k shielding in order to know past that. But then again, Ragnarok still has the ability to just say, you better PG this, otherwise you die. So maybe I'll run 2 copies of him? I don't know. I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are, Gear Chronicle moving forward. I have a pretty good idea of what kind of list I'm going to run when the new set drops. It's just a matter of hoping to God that Chrono Dragon Next Stage is not as hard to get as Amnesty Messiah and Phantom Blaster Dragon from the previous set, because if the Gen Rares are going to be that hard difficult to get, good God. Anywho, that's all I got for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, that's all I got for the time being. So yeah, what are you guys playing for Vanguard at the moment? Both fun and seriously. Like, my serious deck is obviously Narukami, and then for like shits and giggles on the side, I have Neo Nectar, and I have this. This deck's good, but it's not as great as the other things. I'd say it's more along the lines of tier 2, potentially 1.5. It definitely has the potential to be something great though, and I'm hoping that next set will do that. I mean, if Homura Rider can make Murakumo good, then what does that say about Next Stage? But yeah, with that being said, I'm just going to cut the video here, and until next time, this is Blue Star 89, checking out.